kind of hurts to admit it, but
I'm just not that good at video games.
I can pick them up and play them decently well. But no matter the genre, it always feels like I'm coming up short. Like there's some tactical instinct I'm missing when I'm playing turn-based strategy games, or some innate ability to outmaneuver enemies in first-person shooters. It always feels as if there's a limit on my own abilities that others can exceed, and I'm simply not able to. Since its release in February of 2019, I've played Apex Legends for about 2,000 hours, more than 75 days in real life. That's more than 2 months of my life dedicated to this game, in a way that most people might dedicate time to a project or a job. While most of that time was spent in the lobby idling, my almost 9,000 games of Apex have been a project to me. A project of improving my ability in FPS games and battle royales, reaching a point where I'm satisfied with my own skills and feel like I've accomplished something. To feel like I've gotten good. However, over the past few weeks, I've come to terms with the simple fact. After all that time, all of those days over these years have amounted to very little. As in my most recent attempt to climb the ranks, I've been getting, how do I say this delicately? Destroyed, ruined in the worst of ways. Recently, something has happened in Apex that I've heard can happen in skill-based games, with Counter-Strike being a good example. The average skill level has reached a point of critical sweat that I simply am not able to compete with. To say this presents a barrier of entry to new players is oversimplifying things, but the challenge is such that even veterans like me have reached a point where we're forced to stare reality in the face. I'm not good at this game. In fact, compared to these predators of the Apex games, I'm bad. I'm bad at the game, and this has shattered my ego. I've experienced some sort of transcendental cope that has forced me to reflect upon the many other challenges in video games that I've tried and failed to overcome. Here are some honorable mentions. The point I'm trying to make is that I'm a failure. The difficulty in video games has become a feature in and of itself, and each of these challenges that I've failed to overcome is, well, an incredible feat, meriting praise and yielding one bragging rights. For devotees of each of these games, beating the game itself is more of an afterthought compared to these challenges. Yet, I've failed to overcome. I wonder, am I bad at these games too? I've beaten the games quite thoroughly, doing the next most difficult things up until the point of these challenges. Does not being able to complete these challenges, these hardest, most giga-chad levels of difficulties, mean that I'm bad? Well, a simple answer to that is that yes, I'm awful. When compared to the best people I know of, both in real life and in video games, I'm horrendous. Doesn't matter if we're talking about FPSs or single-player games. It's easy to make comparisons based on what we see on YouTube or what we see our friends and favorite streamers accomplishing. When we do that, we'll invariably recognize that we suck compared to them. Perhaps, then, this isn't the benchmark for comparison that we need. When we try and fail something for the first time, comparing yourself to the best to ever do it is absurd. Even trying something 100 times will likely get you no closer in experience to those who have truly sunk time and effort into something. Don't expect yourself to do better than anyone who's put in more time and more effort into something. The only thing you should do when you fail is try again. Try again and compare how you do on your next attempts to how you did on those before. The best benchmark for examining improvement is yourself. So ask yourself, are you really bad? Or are you better? Are you better than you were last match, last checkpoint, last dungeon run, whatever? If you're better by that benchmark, then you are good. Period. A video game comparison to real life would be that when you learn a new thing, the skill tree for that thing will be the largest, most obnoxious skill tree imaginable. And you can only focus on learning it one node at a time. Maybe two. It seems obvious to say, but, remember, you're playing a game to enjoy yourself, not to have a miserable time. The best way to enjoy yourself is to hold yourself to realistic standards and focus on granular improvements in yourself. If you do that, you'll never be bad at games. Although I may never be the best Apex player, I can always take heart in my own improvements as evidence that I'm doing good enough.